My deeds prove ownership of this entire parcel. You can't stop the construction.
I am telling you for the last time, you are encroaching on protected association land. Look at the markers.
The documents are clear. I have the right to this land.
No.
Absolutely not. You are in violation of the agreement, and I am ordering you to stop building immediately.
My name is Cole Anderson, and I've lived a pretty quiet life, quiet enough that most people around me forget I exist. And honestly, I preferred it that way. I owned a modest 5-acre property on the far edge of the Willow Birch Valley, tucked between a creek, a maple grove, and a long-forgotten dirt road my grandfather had preserved when he bought the land nearly 70 years ago. What I didn't know, what nobody told me, was that my land was about to become the center of the biggest HOA disaster our county had ever seen. And it all started with a mansion. A giant, pristine, white-pillared mansion. Built right on my land. But let me back up, because the day I discovered it still plays in my mind like a movie I never asked to be in. It was a cool Sunday morning when I decided to take my dog, Scout, on our usual hike along the creek trail. I had a new camera lens I wanted to test, and the lighting was perfect. But as I walked further into the forest, something felt wrong. The birds were quiet. The air smelled like fresh paint. And then I saw it. A massive 3-story mansion stood at the top of the hill, tall gates, marble entry steps, even a circular driveway with a fountain. I froze. Because I knew that land. It was mine. It had always been mine. But there it stood, a palace big enough to be its own resort. I must have taken a wrong path, I muttered. But no. I knew this land better than I knew my own reflection. Then a voice shattered the silence. "What are you doing here?" I turned and saw her, a tall woman in a pristine beige pantsuit, arms crossed, expression carved from ice. She looked at me like I was a raccoon rummaging through her trash. "I'm just walking my dog," I said slowly. "This is my land." She scoffed, actually scoffed. "Your land? Honey, this property is HOA governed. The Willow Birch Estates owns everything from the trail to the ridge." I blinked. "What? No, they don't." She smiled tightly. "I think I would know." "And who are you?" I asked. She raised her chin proudly. "I'm Eloise Carver. President of the Willow Birch HOA. Of course. Of course the HOA president had the biggest house around. But something about her confidence made my stomach twist. She wasn't just defending the mansion. She was guarding it. I took a breath. "Look, Eloise. My deed covers all the land from." She cut me off with a raised hand. "You're mistaken. We've been expanding the community for years. Our board approved the use of this land long ago." My blood ran cold. "I never sold anything," I said. "My family's owned this land for decades." She chuckled, a cruel, dismissive sound. "Well, maybe you lost it. Maybe you didn't file something. It happens." I stared at her, stunned. I couldn't believe what she said next. "Now," she continued, "unless you want a trespassing fine, I suggest you leave." "Trespassing?" I repeated. "On my own land?" "This is not your land," she insisted. That's when I knew I had to fight back. I left without another word. But inside, something had shifted. This wasn't just arrogance. This was a setup. And I wasn't going to let it slide. That night, I dug through every document my grandfather ever left me. Deeds. Surveys. Boundary maps. Tax receipts. Everything pointed to the same truth. That land belonged to me. Every inch of it. So how in the world had an HOA president built a mansion on it? The next morning, I headed to the county assessor's office. A tired-looking clerk named Jerome typed my parcel number into the system. Then he frowned. "That's odd." "What's odd?" I asked. He spun the monitor toward me. A digital map showed two overlapping property lines. One was mine. The other was labeled Willowbirch Expansion Phase 3. They filed this 3 years ago, Jerome said. But it was never approved because the owner of the land, you, didn't sign the release. So why does it show up on the map? I demanded. He shook his head. Technically, it shouldn't. Then he clicked one more tab. And his eyes widened. Oh no. What? They used an outdated county map you guys updated before I was hired. It didn't show the proper boundaries. My heart hammered. You're saying the HOA built on my land because they used an old map? Jerome nodded slowly. But that doesn't make it legal. I felt my chest tighten. They stole my land, I whispered. And that mansion? It was sitting smack in the middle of it. Jerome lowered his voice. You need a property attorney. Immediately. He scribbled down a name and slid the paper to me. Rachel Voss, Property and Land Use Specialist. I didn't waste a second. Rachel listened quietly as I explained everything. When I finished, she sat back, eyes sharp. This isn't an accident, she said. This is deliberate land encroachment. They built that mansion assuming you wouldn't fight. She paused. But they made one huge mistake. What mistake? I asked. They never filed an easement. No permission. No contracts. No transfers. She smiled, slow and razor-sharp. Legally, Cole, everything built on your land belongs to you. I blinked. Even the mansion. Especially the mansion. My jaw dropped. So what do I do? We file a claim. We take them to county court. And we win. I swallowed. Let's do it. When the HOA got served, all hell broke loose. Eloise showed up on my driveway the next morning, red-faced and raging. You, she shrieked. Do you have any idea what you've done? I'm protecting my property, I said. This is harassment, she barked. You're trying to steal my home. I stared at her, dumbfounded. Your home. Eloise, you built it on my land. That land is part of the Willowbirch community. I pulled out my phone and showed her the official county email. Her face fell. But then she tried a different tactic. You can't win. The community needs that home for events and functions. That's not my problem, I said. You'll bankrupt people. You'll ruin lives, she screeched. No, I said softly. You did that the moment you ignored the law. She trembled with fury. You won't win, she hissed. We'll see, I replied. The hearing lasted 4 grueling hours. The HOA tried everything. Fake maps. False claims. Fabricated timelines. Even a forged agreement with a scrawl that looked nothing like mine. My attorney shredded it all. Then came the judge's ruling, calm, firm, devastating. Willowbirch HOA knowingly built structures on privately owned land without legal rights or permission. The property owner, Mr. Anderson, retains full ownership of all land and all structures upon it. Eloise gasped. And furthermore, the judge continued, the HOA must vacate the premises within 30 days and pay restitution for illegal land use. I nearly collapsed with relief. Eloise? She sunk into her seat, face white as chalk. 30 days later, I stood on the hill, watching movers haul out furniture from the mansion. Eloise stood by the driveway, arms limp, eyes hollow. You ruined everything, she whispered. No, I said gently. You ruined it when you decided my land belonged to you. She looked away. Then Rachel, my attorney, handed me a set of keys. Congratulations, she said. The mansion is legally yours. I walked through its grand entrance, polished floors, crystal chandeliers, marble counters, and felt a strange mix of victory and disbelief. They tried to take everything from me. And instead, I legally owned their president's mansion. It's been nearly a year. The mansion? I converted it into a wildlife photography retreat center. People love it. The HOA. They elected a new board that actually respects property boundaries. And Eloise? She moved out of state shortly after losing her position, and her house. Sometimes, neighbors still ask me, why didn't you just let them keep it? Why fight so hard? I always give the same answer. Because if you don't stand up for what's yours, someone else will gladly take it. Know your rights. Protect what's yours. And remember, calm, patience, and the truth will always beat arrogance and intimidation.